All right, that's recording. Quick word from the sponsors. FIFO, what really happens after plane takes off, and FIFO 2, how a drug dealer became a FIFO worker. Both available at Aaron Weston Author on Aaron Weston Author on Facebook. And also, if you're on the TikTok, just go to the bio under The Aaron White Show. There's a little store button there. Click on that. You can order the books about the dodgy stuff that happens in the FIFO industry. And they're actually really funny. If you watch if you read that book, Don't Tell Mum I Work on the Oil Rigs, she thinks I'm a piano player. It's kind of like that, but way funnier and more FIFO related. It's actually a really funny book. You'll love that one. And for the kids, under children's books by Aaron White on Facebook, you got Australian Surf Lifesavers, Australian Firefighters, Australian Paramedics, Mining Machines Colouring In book, Australian Defence Force Machines, Australian Police Vehicles, Australian Mining Machines, all available at children's books by Aaron White under Facebook. All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. Today, I have a fantastic guest, Archer Phan. Archer is a transgender man and a musician. Welcome to the show, Archer.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Sweet. And you've started moving on the YouTube, so...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, should be a good recording. It was frozen a bit before for the audience that don't have a clue what I'm going on about. Anyway, hey, today, I just want to hear your story, like how and where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you ended up doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Carnarvon. So that's like way up north, about 900 kilometers north of Perth. I was there for most of my life. I moved to Perth when I was 18. So growing up in a small country town and being different, that was quite a big challenge. And so I kind of had to hide myself from a very, very young age. From the age of about 5, I had no idea that I was any different to my dad because I didn't know there was a difference between women and men or anything like that. And so I remember when I was 5 years old, my mum was like, "You're not a boy, put a shirt on. We got guests over." And that kind of shocked me. And I was like, "What?" I didn't really understand it at the time. And as I got older and I kind of just let it go, I just remember mum saying, "You're a girl." And I was very confused. And then when I went to school, I actually went to a Catholic school. And so it was very, very different. I kind of had to put on a face and pretend to be what my twin sister was like. So that was even harder, having a twin sister who is the image of what a girl should be and wanted the Barbies and wanted to wear the dresses and all that kind of stuff. So I always felt that I was different. And even when I went to school, I felt like I didn't fit in with the rest of the students. I just felt like I was always on the outside looking in. And so then when I got older and I realized that I was attracted to women, I hid it all. I was like, no, this is not me. I can't, this just like, just hid it really deep down inside. And, people would ask, "Oh, who's your celebrity crush?" and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say it because I didn't have one. And I didn't want everybody to know that, I do find women attractive. And so, and the more that I realized that I liked women, I thought that I was a lesbian, and I put on a lot of weight because I ate my feelings. And so year 11 and 12 was when I realized, yeah, I'm definitely not straight. I like women, and I was presenting as female at the time. And for me, it was really hard. So I literally just ate my feelings until the point where I saw an image and I was like, oh, wow, I got to do something about that. And I lost all the weight again. And yeah, it was really hard. I just always felt like I was hiding a part of myself until I went to university and I realized, hey, actually, it's okay to like women and, be a woman and that kind of stuff. And I found a bigger group of people because in Carnarvon, love them, but they're very small-minded. It's a small country town. You're not very open to a lot of things. And in the whole town, there was only one lesbian couple, and they did get a little hate behind their back. And having friends that I knew talk about them and make jokes about them when I was feeling like I was attracted to women was quite hard. And so I just always had to put on a face. And that's why I did turn to like drama, and I loved drama because I was able to put on a mask and be who I actually wanted to be. And when I was in drama, I never played a female role. I always played a male role because I felt like it was my chance to play with gender and experiment and that kind of stuff. And I was happy. I was happy-ish. I always felt like there was something different. And I always felt like there was something still missing. And so once I was at university, I came out as a lesbian, but I still didn't feel like that fit me exactly. And I actually didn't realize there was anything like transgender. Like I heard that, you have transgender women, but I didn't really think about, men can be transgender as well, because they always had the term tranny and it always kind of referred to females. And that's what I grew up knowing. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And it was when I was on Instagram and I started posting on there, someone actually hashtagged one of my photos with hashtag FTM. And I was like, what's that? And so I started looking it up, and that stands for like female to male. And I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. And I found out there was a lot of people who were FDM out there, and I had no idea. And so I started going down this route and trying to work out who I was again. So it's kind of weird. It was like, I felt like I came out as a lesbian when I was like 18, 19. And I was like, oh crap, am I going to have to do this all again? Because I was trying to figure out who I was for a second time. And so, yeah, then I started playing around. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not. And then I started playing around with the non-binary because I was like, oh, let's see if this works and if this fits. And so I'm also a high school teacher as well as a musician. And my first school, I came out as non-binary to the students, and that's why I go by Mix, not Mr. or anything like that. So it's MX. And the kids were amazing. They were so accepting. But again, still there's something that wasn't quite right. There was still a hole that was missing. I still felt like that I wasn't whole. And then I started talking to a psych. And at the time, I was actually with my ex, who was very against the idea of me transitioning. I basically said, look, this is who I think I am. I would like to start going to see a psych and having a chat about it. And they were basically like, if you do that, I'm not attracted to men, we're over. And that was kind of like, oh, okay. And it felt like they were trying to manipulate me to not do it. And then so behind their back, and I felt like I was doing things in secret again, I went to go see a psych and talk to them and that kind of stuff, and started my journey. And I realized that I was, I got the diagnosis of gender dysphoria. And then I was able to start hormones and start this journey. And that was just over 2.5 years ago, I think, roughly, when I started talking to a psych and going through all that kind of thing as well. So that's where I am today. And also being like a musician, I like to talk about my journey and talking about my voice and how it's changing. Because when I started, I could not find anything about what happens to your voice singing wise once you start transitioning. And one thing that has always been a constant in my life is music. And I was scared to lose that. I didn't want to lose my ability to sing. And so there was nothing about it. And so I wanted to show an audience out there, like, this is what happens. There's good days, there's bad days. And this is how my voice sounds now. And this is how it's going to sound. And I'm going to continue recording just to show how it changes as my journey keeps going as well. And then being a teacher, I love being that open and out teacher and being just to the students, hey, I'm trans, I'm here, I'm normal, we exist. So which I didn't have when I was a student. So one of my mottos as a teacher is to be the teacher that I needed when I was younger. And so I just like being that person, be like, this is me. I'm not, this mentally, there's like so many different things that people say, like we're mentally disturbed or there's mental illness or something wrong with us. When it's actually, we're normal, we're here. And I'm just like everybody else. I was just born in the wrong body, and I'm doing things to change that. So, yeah.
So you've said that the kids have taken it really well at the high school. How have the parents?
Yeah. At my first school, I had a bit of an issue. My first school was a lower socioeconomic school, and I did have one of the parents who did question and trying to call me and said, we need to have a chat about this because I don't understand it. And you're telling the students that you're non-binary and gender fluid, and I don't understand. I'm like, that's fine. We can have a chat and conversation. And I ended up having a call, and they were 100% okay with it afterwards. But I haven't had too many issues from the parents. That was literally my only issue. But yeah, the kids have been absolutely amazing. So it definitely makes it a lot easier.
Did you ever date a guy? Like, did you ever
No.
try that? No, you did. You knew it.
No.
Didn't even waste your time.
I knew it. I was never saw a guy as, I was never just sexually attracted to him or anything like that. So I was just like, yeah, I always knew that I liked women. And when I was younger, I always thought that I was a lesbian. And then as I got older, I realized that that wasn't the case. And that, it's more. So then it's kind of weird because being a trans man, technically I'm straight, but then it doesn't feel like that because I've gone through this whole journey. So it's really interesting when people say, oh, what's your, sexuality? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm a trans man who likes women, because it's kind of weird. I feel like I fit into a different box.
Can you tell me the process? So before you can do the testosterone and stuff, do you have to see a psychologist And then they give you a referral, or how does this process work?
There's a whole different process. So it's changed a bit. So I know there's some doctors who will do kind of a consent, and they will do this, which will put you straight onto hormones and that kind of stuff. But when I first started doing it, there wasn't many doctors who would do the consent. So for me, I actually wanted to get top surgery before I wanted anything else. So I went to a doctor and I said, look, this is what I want. And that was it wasn't a nice experience for me, because I kept telling the doctor, this is what it's called. It's top surgery. It's called, like, there's some certain doctors in Perth and surgeons who do it in Perth. And I was like, these are lists of the doctors. I just need a referral. And she kept saying, oh, you want to get breast reduction, breast reduction, breast reduction. I was like, look, it's really not helping me by you saying that. Can we say top surgery, because they're going to understand that and that kind of thing. And she was just very negative towards the whole thing. And because at the time I was still presenting as female, it was like she didn't believe me. And so I kind of put that to the side for several years, because I felt uncomfortable from that one doctor's interaction. Then to be able to go on hormones and that kind of stuff, I went to a doctor, because firstly I had to be put onto a mental health plan. So therefore my psychologist appointments could be, so that I'd get them cheaper. So I went to a psychologist first, and she was happy to give me the diagnosis of gender dysphoria. Then I went to an endocrinologist who actually administers gives me the script for the testosterone. So I went to her, and for her to be able to allow me to start hormones, I then had to go see a psychiatrist. So it's like just jumping through lots of different hoops, and they don't make it easy. It is a little bit easier than when I started. But yeah, then I had to go to a psychiatrist, and I had to do 3 appointments with her, 2 where it was just me, and then 1 I actually had to get my parents in, because she wanted them to kind of back up my story, which for me, I felt was kind of a bit condescending, but I was like, I'm just going to get it done. She also made me write an essay about if I knew all the pros and the cons and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, she just want to make sure that my parents backed up my story and that I wasn't like lying about anything, which, for me, I was like, I was taken aback by that. I was like, I'm here, I'm telling you all it is. But then, my parents have been absolutely amazing and supportive, and they came, so they live in Carnarvon still. They came down and they came and saw her and did that session with her as well. So then after that, I got the gender dysphoria diagnosis from her, and then I was able to go back to my endocrinologist. I got the script, and then I can get the testosterone administered at any clinic who will do it. So any nurse, and some people administer it by themselves. With that as well, I do need to get my blood tests checked every 3 months, just to make sure that the levels are correct and that kind of stuff. And it'll be something that I'm on for the rest of my life.
So how did you feel when you started getting on the tests?
So it does some weird stuff with your hormones. I felt amazing. I was like, this is the start. This is the start of the journey that I've been waiting for. And it just felt so good. And, but then there's a real low real quickly, because my hormones were all over the place, and I was getting agitated a lot easier. But not like some people think you go like roid and like angry, and like, that's not what happens. It was just, I was getting like frustrated a little bit more. So like, I remember stubbing my toe in the first month, and it was the worst thing I'd ever happened. I was so mad, and I was like, I don't get it. And it wasn't the testosterone. And I like to preface that, because some people, it's just the hormones, because your hormones going up and down and leveling out. And because your first 3 doses, they need to be once a month. To just make sure that they get the kind of level up high, and then we go down and we make sure that it's all level. And during that time, I couldn't sing at all for the first 6 weeks. I sounded horrendous. It's like, when a teenage boy's voice drops for the first time, and I was talking in front of class and my voice was breaking, and it was not nice. And I had a greater respect for those year 7 and 8 boys who put their hand up and talk, and they're breaking, and they're like, I'm like, don't be embarrassed. It's happened to me too. So it was definitely a different experience, but I was very scared that I wasn't going to be able to sing again, because for the first 6 weeks, I sounded like I was strangling a chicken. That's the only thing I can explain. I couldn't hold a note. I couldn't control anything, and it was horrendous. And also I had a lot of, because obviously I used to be overweight, my face shape started changing, and I started getting round along the face, and that was doing a lot with my mental health, because I was like, no, like I did a lot of work to make sure that I wasn't overweight anymore, fit, a healthy exercise. And for me, the mental game was more hard. It's definitely a lot harder. But then I started to see the jaw changes, and I started to see that, and it did start to get better. But what they don't tell you is, like, your jaw actually physically hurts. Like, I found, like, when all the kind of distribution of the fat and the thing, it actually like ached for like the first few months. But it's all like, no pain, no gain. And it's got me to where I am now. And I'm really, really happy with how I'm going, how I'm looking. And yeah, but yeah, the first few months was happy, but it was also a lot of stuff mentally that I had to go through.
And did you end up getting the top surgery?
Yeah, I did. So I had my first top surgery because I had to have a revision. So I had my first top surgery in July last year. So we did one that's called hemi-areola. So what they do there is they only take out, like, they scar on the bottom of the nipple. So you don't have to have the massive bilateral scars that you usually see that trans guys have. So we tried that, but because, we said with my age and that kind of stuff, being older and my skin elasticity, we weren't sure if it was going to bounce back. And unfortunately, I had a lot of swelling and the extra swelling and blood that had to be drained. And then because of that, I had a lot of excess skin. So then I wasn't happy with it. And my surgeon, he's an amazing surgeon, and all the trans guys go to him in Perth. Yeah, he said, look, we could wait another year. And, if you work your pecs, it's going to go back, and, you will see that it is going to flatten a little bit. But for me, I had a lot of issues, especially because being a teacher, people take photos like around the class and that kind of stuff. And I remember, because I do photography is one of the subjects that I do teach, a student took a photo and the lighting just hit me wrong, and you could see all of the skin. And for me, I was like, oh, that it just, being that image in front of the classroom as well, you always think about, what you wear, how you present yourself. And so for me, I was like, I need to have that second surgery. So I've just had that in July 13th because I got pulled back because of COVID, which was supposed to be early June. And so now I'm 5 weeks post-op, and then I'll be able to start working out again in another week. So I've had the second one, we actually did the massive scars, and we did what's called nipple grafts, so where they place the nipple a little bit higher and that kind of stuff to give it a more masculine looking chest.
What size were you beforehand?
I was only a B, so it wasn't massive, but because I was overweight and then I lost weight, there was already a lot of skin. So that had a lot of issues because I had a lot of stretch marks from being overweight and then losing all that weight. So even though I was only a B, and that's usually okay to have the hemi-areola, but because I was overweight, unfortunately, that played around with my results.
Sweet. So what you got now is a flash chest with scars
Yeah.
under there, and then you got a scar
Yeah.
leading up to your nipple because you got your nipple put up.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So with it, there's actually no scar up to the nipple. So what they've done is it's kind of like they've just placed them on top. So the scars go along, so down here and across, and then the nipples are just placed on top. So it's like a nipple graft on top. So it actually doesn't there's no scar up to the nipple, just underneath. So if if anybody's watching and they want to look up, you just look up top surgery on Instagram and you'll see similar results.
Sweet. And you don't have to answer this one if you don't want to. Have you done down below, or are you going to do that? Or
no, that's not something that I'm going to do. For some trans guys, that causes them a lot of dysphoria. For me, I'm okay with it. And the results that I've seen is not, I'm not happy with what I've seen for me to want to go down that route.
Yeah. Cool. And apparently it's quite expensive as well.
Very expensive. I know that some, I think some trans guys pay up to $50,000 and upwards for the bottom, where my top surgery was only $5,500 for the actual surgery. And I think it was $1,650 for the anesthesia and for the anesthetic. Yeah. And with that, you do get a rebate back. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to change my gender marker yet, because with top surgery, I needed to keep my female gender marker to get more back on Medicare, because otherwise it becomes under cosmetic if you have a male gender marker and you don't get as much back. So they're able to put it down as a breast reduction if you do that. So any trans guys who are listening, think about that, because even though you want to rush and get all your male gender markers, you are going to get less back if you are going to get top surgery later on.
Here's a different one for you that you probably haven't been asked. Because you are on all the tests, but you still got the female organs inside, can you still get pregnant if you wanted to?
If you wanted to, yes. And that's what they do tell. And that's what, when you do go to an endocrinologist, they say, if you have a male partner, being on testosterone does not mean you can't get pregnant. And there has been, if there's lots of articles and stuff where you see trans males have got pregnant because it's not a birth control. Some people think, if you're on hormones that it's not going to, you can't get pregnant, and that's not the case. You can still get pregnant. It's like not as high, but you can still get pregnant.
All right. How'd your parents go when you came out and said you're literally going to start doing the testosterone and all the everything?
Yeah. So I told my mum first, and I think she was expecting it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she was like, yep, fully understand. Because as soon as I came out, I didn't wear any female clothes. I shopped in the male section, always had my hair cut short, and so for her it wasn't a massive thing. She had a bigger, harder time when I came out as a lesbian than when I came out as trans. So for her, she was like, okay, as long as you're happy. And my middle name is my previous name that I went by. So my middle name's Anik, because that's the name that she gave me. And so I asked her, I was like, when I was choosing my middle name, I said, this is my name that I want to go by. I want to go by Archer and Archie, but I want your input for my middle name. Would you like it to be the name that you're going to give me if I was a boy, or would you like it to be Anik? And she said, could you please have it as Anik, because that's the name I gave you. So she's been really great. My first top surgery as well, she was down and she looked after me and took care of me, everything that I needed. So she's been absolutely great. Dad, he's Vietnamese and he's very chill. He's like, yeah, cool, do whatever you want. And then I remember the first time he'd had a few drinks, because he works FIFO as well, and he came back and he was like, oh yeah, so I call you son now. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, okay. And then he was like, he's a half a bottle of Hennessy down, and he's like, okay, I'm going to bed now. Love you, son. And that was pretty much it. He wasn't like, it wasn't a big issue for him. And so that, I'm really lucky to have the support that I do have.
What about your sister, your twin?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, cool, do what you want. Like, she was like, yeah, I love you no matter what. So, and then I have a younger sister who said the same. So my whole family's been like, yeah, love you no matter what, as long as you're happy, that's all that we care about.
Did your twin know the whole time? Did you like?
No, like she
huh?
yeah. She
had
like she's yeah, no, twin didn't know. She was just like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, she didn't really think about it. And because she lives in Singapore at the moment, so she hasn't been around for all of it. So she didn't really wasn't a massive part of it, but she's like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like she's like, I think for her, it was more the coming out before. I think for everyone, that was kind of the big shock. Yeah. And I'm like, how? Like, I used to wear boys' clothes. There's even a picture of me during book week wearing a massive suit when I was like 9. Like, how did you not know? Like, all the signs are there. So yeah, for them, I think, yeah, they were just like, okay, cool. Like, as long as you're happy and safe, that's all we care about.
Oh, sweet as. Might transition on to your music. What do you write about? What's your music about?
So I used to write about just relationships, because that's what everybody wrote about. And I was like, yeah, but it wasn't very, very meaningful. And then now I've started to tell more stories and that kind of stuff. So I did write, it's funny. So one of the songs I did write was, it's called Are You Ashamed? And it was actually a letter to my parents when I was too scared to transition. And it was basically saying, it was a letter to them and saying, if I transition, will you still love me? That kind of stuff. And then it kind of led the way for a bit more storytelling and a couple more songs about me and my transition. And now I'm going back and I'm looking at old songs. I'm actually rewriting the lyrics and seeing how they fit now that I've transitioned, because I used to write from a female point of view. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next year or so, and hopefully releasing an EP about like, so I'm just working on a song right now called Stranger in the Mirror. And back then it was about a relationship and that kind of stuff. So now I'm singing it and it hits differently. So it's quite interesting looking at old lyrics and that kind of stuff. But for me, basically anything that I feel at the time, but I like to go into the story element a bit more lately, and I'm experimenting with different sounds. And obviously having my voice lower, a lot of my songs I can't sing anymore. So it's been really, really interesting because I've had to drop them, 2 tones down, and it's just been it's been a great journey, but it's also been interesting. And that's why I do a lot of the covers that I do where I've been singing my old self. So I've got a whole bunch of old recordings, specifically Disney, because I've always loved Disney and like the magic of it all and that kind of stuff. And I've started to, so 1 year, 2 year, that kind of stuff, record old covers as well, just to have that journey side of things.
Do you perform? Like, do you go to clubs and stuff, or is it all on Spotify or something? Or what do you do?
it's on Spotify. I used to do a lot of busking and markets and that kind of stuff. I used to be in a punk rock band as well, and we used to perform. But as soon as I said I was transitioning, I quit the band because I knew it was going to be hard. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to sing. And every time learning a song, having to drop it was really, really frustrating. And then when I started, I was like, all right, I'm going to do the solo thing because I miss performing. I miss going out and just doing performance. I used to do open mic nights and that kind of stuff. But in the last year, I kind of stopped it all because I was very frustrated because I'd learn all these songs and it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks down and I couldn't sing them in the same key anymore. So I was constantly redoing the chords, relearning everything in a different key. And I got really, really frustrated. So I'm taking a break until my voice settles a bit more, which could be 2, 3, 4, who knows? And I'm just doing a less gigging. So next month, I'm just going to do a little busking in Belmont Shopping Centre and that kind of stuff. But I'm not doing the bigger gigs anymore just because my voice is so unpredictable. And even though I love my voice and what I'm doing with it and the different changes, it does get really frustrating when you learn 2-3 hours worth of songs and then you can't sing them anymore. So unfortunately, it's all on Spotify. I do some stuff on Instagram. I'm going to start doing a bit more on TikTok with some old videos and doing that and showing the journey side rather than actually performing. I do miss it, but unfortunately, my voice just isn't. It just can't hack it. I can't sing as long as I used to or anything like that. And being a teacher as well, I'm talking the whole time. It does impact on my ability to sing as much.
Now, being a teacher, have you had any students that have come up that have been trans, gay, lesbian, or anything like that and confined in you? Yeah,
100%. I get it all the time. So I tell the students straight away from the start, my name is Mix, and this is why I'm mixed, because I am trans. And knowing that, I say, look, I have no tolerance for bullying, no tolerance for homophobia, no tolerance for racism, that kind of stuff. If you ever need to chat about any of those stuff, come to me. Also, because my dad being Asian and Vietnamese, I have seen him getting a bit of racism from COVID and just being Asian looking. So, I have like a zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. And so I do tell them to come have a chat with me. And I do have students on the regular weekly come and have a chat like, hey, I'm questioning my gender, or I think I might be gay, and that kind of stuff. And I always say, look, you can talk to me. I can't give you any answers. In the end of the day, it's you. I can share my journey with you, how I felt, but I can't tell you how you feel. I can give you the resources. There's different places in Perth, like the Pride Network and that youth network and where they can go and chat. And I'll give them the links and I'll say that there's different meetups. I just like being that safe person for them to come have a chat with. And when it's summer, I always wear like a rainbow bracelet so that they know that, I'm a safe person to talk to. And a lot of people around the school, they do have like rainbow lanyards and stuff so that they know that kids can come and have a chat. And I like being that person that because of who I am and because I'm open and out there, that they feel safe to come and have conversations with me. And then what I do a lot of the time is, because they rather come to me than talk to the chaplain and the school psych, then I'll pass on that information saying this student isn't comfortable just yet. This is how they're feeling. When they're ready, they'll come have a chat. And a lot of the time I'm the middleman, and I'll be like, would you like me to come with you to meet then yes, please do that. And so I just become that kind of safe, kind of like stepping stone to the next part where they need to go and work out who they are. So yeah, which is good. And they're always coming up and they're really happy. And we had a lot of year 7s this year who were like, yeah, we're happy, Pride, like everybody's happy. And during Pride, they were handing out rainbow things. They're like, come celebrate with us, come hang with us. And so that was really nice knowing that, it's changing and that being LGBT is a lot more acceptable when you don't have to hide it as much. And yeah, so it's nice knowing that when I was in high school, I had to hide everything, but these kids don't. They're happy and they're like, this is who I am. I don't care what you think. And I really like that.
Do you get a lot, because you tell your story online and stuff, do you get lots of people hit you up on Instagram and TikTok and stuff and ask you advice and stuff?
I do, which is quite interesting because I usually have people from different countries. I don't have as many here, which I thought, I'd have more Australian people hit me up in the DMs and that kind of stuff saying, oh, this is how I feel. But actually, most of them are from America, which I find really interesting because there's a lot of trans guys from America and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think they really like the fact that I do the journey through my voice, and the ones that do contact me are people who do sing. So I like giving them like, well, this is what's happening. Here's my advice when you are singing. Do this, don't do this. Be prepared that this is going to happen, and that kind of stuff. And so I do like that. And sometimes it does get a bit overwhelming, and I have to step back because depending, like when I post the videos and stuff, that's when I tend to get a lot more messages and requests and DMs about the journey and like, hey, this is who I am and this is how I'm feeling. But I do really love it. And I love being that person to be able to give back to the community. And because I never had that person, and I was because I was, very unsure about it all. I was too scared to go out and ask someone on social media who was transitioning about their journey and how they felt. For me, I was like, oh, I can't do that. So I really like that they can come to me and have a chat, and I can just be really open about the whole thing. And they really appreciate it as well. So it's really nice.
Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now if you do whatever you want?
I would still like to be in teaching somehow because I like being that kind of role, but I'd love to be out and talking to schools as well about being LGBT and being trans and just being more of that open kind of person for people to realize, like, this is my journey. I'm very happy to share, come answer some questions and that kind of stuff. And I love doing the stuff with music. So I'd still want to be doing the music side. So I'd want to be doing teaching, talking at schools about my journey and telling my story more through music and being more active, because unfortunately with teaching is trying to find the balance between being a teacher and finding that time to do the social media stuff and be online and that kind of stuff. So it's working out that balance to be able to spread my message further and spread it to more people. And because transgender people are still people still don't understand us, if that makes sense. Like, they don't understand us. And I just want to show people without shoving things down their throat. This is me. I'm happy to have a chat with you. I want to not educate you, but let's have a chat with you and work out who I am. And I'm not scary, and I'm not, I don't have a mental disability or illness like some people say. I'm just me, and I'm open. And if you want to listen, let's have a chat and that kind of thing.
No, sweet. We're getting some good remarks on the TikTok as well. Saint 1107 just wrote a beautiful story. So that's good that
thank you.
People are actually listening and enjoying the story. Thanks for that, Saint. So is the community quite good, quite helpful? I can't even get the acronym
LGBTQI+. It keeps getting further and further.
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Yes and no. There was actually a bit of issue recently with some people don't see trans people still as lesbians, and so there was a Facebook group where people were kind of hating on a trans guy for still being part of the group. And he was like, well, I don't have that other part of the community, and we are still a very, very small part of the the LGBTQIA+ community. And then trying to be it's very divisive still sometimes, it was just really frustrating because we're all in it together. We're all, we all fight for equality and rights, but then you have other people in the community still trying to bring you down. And so that is really, really confusing. And it's usually the younger generations, which is interesting, who don't get the fight that some older LGBT people have been through. So for me, there's parts that are very accepting, very open and celebrating, but then still there is a division, which is really, really frustrating. And to be what's the word? Like, just to be like pushed to the side by your own community, it is quite tough. And I remember this happened, I think, early in the year, and I felt really hurt by it because I forgot that I was part of the Facebook group, when things come up and you forget. And I was like reading the comments and seeing the hate towards the trans community still from within the LGBT, that actually really hurt. So it's quite interesting. Like, I still feel like there's still a long way to go. And that's why I want to be out and tell my story to whoever listens, because why can't we just all love each other? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Let's just love first, and let's not divide and separate and segregate everybody. Like, why can't we just accept everybody for who they are? So I guess that, for me, it's frustrating and it does hurt. But yeah.
That's a pretty awesome story. We've still got another probably 5 minutes we can get away with.
Yeah. So
anything you want to leave the audience with or let people know or anything?
Yeah, well, I just want to say thanks to Saint 107. Thank you. I want to share my story to everyone. And I don't think I'm brave. Like, it's funny when people tell me that I am brave. I'm just being me, and I'm just sharing a story because I have a voice to be able to share my story. And so therefore I don't want to hide anymore, because I hid for a long time and I hid a lot of parts of my life. And so I want to be open and just be there for people who need that person to look up to. It's weird saying that, but just to be that person that, hey, I'm trans, this is who I am, and I'm just happy to share my story. And I just think in this world, because there's still a lot of hate towards the trans community, and that we should just love each other. That's simple. Like, why if it should all just be about love and acceptance, and everybody's on a different journey, and everybody has lots of different things that they're dealing with. So just to accept everyone and not spread so much hate, and just accept everyone and that kind of stuff. That's what I want to finish on. Just love everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Be you. And if you are trans, there is people out there who are willing to listen. One of them is me. There's lots of different trans guys on the social media who are willing to listen, and their DMs are always open. And if you need someone to talk to, we're around. So don't feel scared like I did to reach out to some trans guy on Instagram or social media, TikTok. We're here as part of the community to help the younger community. Basically, I feel like, when you're that when you see a little young trans guy, you want to take them under the wing and say, look, I'm here for you. I can do whatever you need. Like, I'll help you out. And that's what I want to say. We're here to help the younger community into a different era, and hopefully a more accepting era.
Can you let us know where they can reach out? Like, what's your social media accounts, and give you music a plug and stuff like that? Plug anything you want right now.
My Spotify, you can find me archer.phan. I'll hopefully have an EP out by next year. That's my plan. At the moment, I'm just focusing on some covers. You can find me on Instagram at archer.phan, so Phan, because that's the Vietnamese part from my dad. Thank you. Archer.phan on Instagram. And I think I'm like Awkward Archer on TikTok as well. So something like that. I'm like, yeah. Also, that's where you can find me. Feel free to send me messages, DMs. I can't always reply back as quick as I want to, because being a teacher and reports, marking, all the other stuff that comes with it. But if you need someone to talk to, my DMs are always open for a chat.
Awesome stuff. Well, I just want to say big thanks for coming on the show. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. Thank you for wanting to share the story and having me on.
No, you're welcome. All right, cool. Might wrap it up there. Well, yeah, I'd like to say thanks again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right, bye.
Bye.